Hi, and welcome back to Rowing Friends. Today's guest is Molly Beck-Joslyn, licensed psychologist in Buffalo, New York, and a teammate of ours from our rowing days at University of Buffalo. Molly started her rowing at Buffalo Seminary and now is a rowing parent herself. Her daughter rows for city honors, which really brings things full circle. In her practice, Molly works with individuals, helping them through anxiety, stress, grief, life transitions, body image concerns, and disordered eating. Her approach is mindfulness-based and trauma-informed, offered both in person and via telehealth across New York State. Check out the show notes for her website if you'd like to connect with her. We are so glad to have her here. Enjoy our conversation with Molly Beck-Joslyn.
Hi, Molly.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing good. Wow, you look the same. Haven't changed.
You guys too. It's wild. This whole aging thing, I'm assuming I'm still in my early 30s now.
Yeah. Yeah, or we can go back to college. We'll just pretend we're back on the team, right?
I like that for a lot of pieces, but I'm also grateful for a little bit of growing up.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, cool. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah. Adrian and I, we figured out we have to take turns because otherwise we keep saying, oh, sorry, don't you? Oh, sorry.
Okay.
So, Adrian, you want to start us off?
Sure. Molly, can you just tell everybody how you know us and your rowing story so that you can start there?
So I joined the UB team that you guys were already on. I think you guys you had established the D1 thing. I think I was in year 2, maybe. You probably, I don't exactly remember. But so I joined the team in, let's see, when was that? 99. I had rowed in high school, and I guess I was there as there was a transition, right? So, and I rowed there for a few years with you guys. I think I had redshirted my last year, and due to an injury, I coached a little bit at one of the local high school, in grad school maybe for a year, and then have been really separated from the rowing world until my daughter recently started rowing a couple of years ago.
Great.
A totally different sport now, I have to say. I feel like I'm learning all these new things. It's very cool.
For sure. Yeah. So where did you row in high school?
I was at Buffalo Seminary in Buffalo, and then the summers rowed out of Westside.
Do they still have a team?
Sem?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Okay.
And it's really, again, a newer piece that I'm noticing now is how many teams row smaller boats, which is really cool. I know that this year they had a freshman 8, I want to say, but they also had a bunch of small boats. It's so cool to see kids rowing in the smaller boats. It's really fun.
Yeah. And your daughter rows for Holy Angels? Is that right?
City Honors. Holy Angels
City
doesn't
Honors.
exist anymore. They closed.
Okay, that's the one that doesn't exist. Okay.
Yep. So she's at City Honors. So she started in 8th grade there, and she's a freshman now.
Oh.
Very cool. And so did you guys catch up with each other at States this year?
No, we didn't
Not
see
this
each
year.
other.
I think we were on different days because I was there Saturday, and you said that you came in
Yeah.
Sunday to cheer on Friends, or you were there a little bit on Saturday?
Yeah, we were there a little bit. So my daughter, because she's one of 2 senior rowers on the girls' side this year, she just did small boats for most of her races. And then my son rowed in the bigger boat. So he was in, I think, just an 8 for a freshman. So that happens to be both on Sunday. We were there to cheer him on, both our team on Saturday, but that was like the rainy day. And then my kids were like, can we get going after we cheered our team on as they launched? So I missed you guys. And Corey Campbell / Leonardo, which I don't know if you would remember Corey, but Corey's daughter rows for Baldwinsville and also in the big boats. So she was probably also there on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday was really rainy. Our boys team, I was catching up with a couple of the parents yesterday at Westside's All High Regatta, and they said that the Sunday was great. I spent most of Saturday in my car running up and down the hill to dry off, but
yeah.
I feel like it was that way last year, though. The Saturday, it was super rainy, and then Sunday was fine.
Yeah, the flooding was a lot worse last year. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
What are you finding that's different about being a crew parent versus being like an actual crew athlete?
I think it's the worst spectator sport. I've got that. I think I may have had some awareness, but as an adolescent brain, it didn't register as much how you have that sort of egotistical, arrogant self as a teenager. So I was just there to be with friends and to do my thing. So it was almost, I guess so I'm thinking about high school especially, there was not the same kind of spreads and tents and everything when I was in early high school. And when that started to evolve towards maybe my junior, maybe definitely my senior year, I said, why are you all here? Because we would all ride together with our coach. The parents didn't necessarily come to the regattas. And if they did, it was, I don't know. So, and then in college, it's not once in a while, maybe a family would be nearby or something and somebody would be there, but we were on our own, right? So as a parent now, I'm finding the City Honors Team specifically is a parent-run organization. So it's not associated with the school. It's not associated with the club in terms of finances or regulation of the group itself. And so there's a lot of effort that goes into making sure there's all the foods are at the tent and setting up all this stuff, cleaning up all this stuff. The athletes don't take part, and the kids are nice if they help a little bit. But I feel, I don't know. It's a little bit less rewarding in some ways. I think it was really great to go and row and do your thing, and regattas were fun because you got to be there all day. And it's nice as a parent meeting other parents and having community in that way. But it's just a lot of waiting around. So, and my daughter will ask me my opinion or questions about things. And I'm like, you need to ask your coach. These are not I just want to defer to the adults in charge with that. Because again, I don't think I ever paid attention to so much. I feel like I'm learning so much about the engineering and the physics of the sport, just watching it now. I'm like, oh, this is such an interesting thing to learn about. But as a parent, I feel like it's different than the other sports the kids have played because it's only a few regattas a season versus games multiple times a week and tournaments. So yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I in some ways would like her to just go do her own thing. On the other hand, of course, I want to go support her. And City Honors, you have to take your kid, and parents travel or anything. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. I love that it's independent for her. I love that they go out in the water. They do their own thing. It's up to them. I really appreciate that versus, again, other sports the kids have done where there seems to be a lot of commenting from the sidelines. Yeah. So I like that they get to kind of go do their own thing. I appreciate that, which as a rower, I never thought of that. It was more just like, this is my thing. You guys or our thing. Oh.
How big is the City Honors team?
I probably should know this exactly. They have attrition, especially junior and senior year, consistently. So this year they had a varsity 4, a junior 4. This is girls. The boys did not have I think the boys may have had a varsity 4 of some sort. And then they had a bunch of younger boys, which was great. So they ended up, I think, with a 4 or an 8 kind of mixed around for the boys. The girls ended up with a novice 4 and a freshman 4. I don't know. We're talking like maybe 30, 35 kids total.
Yeah. So probably similar in size to our team, though we have a good proportion of our team is middle schoolers. So they have their own program. But in terms of each grade level, it's probably similar to Shen. So I was just, what you're talking about, driving them to the regattas, not having buses, like probably very similar experience too. Yeah. So have you been pulled onto the board side yet?
I have declined so far. I'm happy to volunteer as much as needed, but I'm trying to stay as backseat as possible. But I have a feeling there just aren't a lot of families there just aren't a lot of people there to help run it. So I think if she continues at some point, we're going to have to be more involved. We're as involved as I think we can be without overstepping with what she prefers, as well as just time commitments with other pieces.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. What grades? So middle school wise, when does it start?
7th grade, they can start. Years ago, so we have a whole mod program in our area right now. I'm getting all kinds of emails. We have mod champs this weekend, so that's their middle school states, like sectionals. And that's the only race typically that the middle schoolers will race, although there are some times where they had a scrimmage earlier in the year at Saratoga Lake, and then they did have some boats do states, and because they have the younger categories, the U15, so they usually put a quad out for that. Yeah, but years ago, they used to start them at 6th grade. Now, I guess because of some of the local teams are part of the school sports. So Shenendehowa is not a school sport, but Niskuna and Burnt Hills in the spring are school sports. So they have to follow all of those rules, and they can't participate in the modified program until 7th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, and they only skull at the middle school level. So we have an oct, which is called, it's up, the name is upside down, and when it's guts down, it says send help. So that's
cool.
That's their oct that they all start off in. And then they have a lot of cox quads, like the older ones most of them are stern coxed. So yeah.
I love that. I wish there doesn't seem to be that many at Westside in general, from what I've observed. And City Honors definitely doesn't have any, which is a bummer, because I think just physical development and whatnot, I think it'd be great to have them starting out with something a bit more balanced.
Yeah.
Adrienne, thank you for your help with my daughter. We'd connected because she had some hip pain, and I was super excited to know that Adrienne was this expert we could lean into. And so that is resolved at this point.
Okay.
Great job, Adrienne.
Wonderful. I'm glad everything worked out. And when I give those couple suggestions, I always wonder, I'm like, is it going to work out? Is it going to be something that's going to be helpful? So I'm glad that was good. So yeah, just reach out if you need anything else.
Yeah, it resolved really quickly. It was, once she shifted that layback, it was a completely different story.
Perfect.
You're a magician.
A couple little things and like clean them up, and you can feel better. And sometimes you don't even notice that you're doing that particular thing until someone says, "Hey, just a touch more sit up," and then those hip flexors don't get as sore, and the hips don't bother you as much. So yeah.
Do you only work with rowers at this point?
No, I'll treat any orthopedic injury. A lot of times I treat rowing adjacent people. So I'll treat a rower and they'll get a good result. And they'll be like, oh, Adrienne's a good PT. You could see her for whatever. So I have some people that I treat that have runners and CrossFitters and that kind of thing. Because a friend of a friend will then be like, refer them to me. So yeah, any orthopedic injury, send them my way.
I definitely will. I just think it's such a cool niche thing that is, in some ways, I'm surprised there aren't more specialists.
I think a lot of people are starting to niche down to particular things. I have a networking friend. He does golf. And so he only worked with golfers. And then I have another networking friend, and he only does hockey. There's some PTs that are focusing in on one particular thing. And of course, we'll treat anything when we get those particular ones and we know the biomechanics for that particular sport, and then can kind of take it that extra step. So yeah, if anyone's out there, let your City Honors friends know.
I have shared with them. I passed it on for sure, because I think it's really valuable. There's a couple running PT specialists in this area that I know in our house we've leaned on before, but finding somebody I think there's such a different movement with rowing if you're not familiar with it, like something that maybe with good intention to help treat or support something could just not land in the same way. Plus, I feel like she had a better response because you're a rower and have that experience and sense of what's going on. So more responsive to that, I think.
Yeah, it is nice to kind of talk to the younger rowers and to be able to hear their story and also relate to what they're going through, because you've been through that experience where you've got a month left in the season, you're not feeling 100%. We got to figure something out. I'm not going to try to pull you out of the boat unless I really think that something atrocious is going on and you're going to hurt yourself going forward. But a lot of times there's some type of tweak that you can do, and it might be a combination of something I can tell you physical therapy wise, but it might also be something coaching wise that I can give you an idea about. I had a college mom reach out to me about numbness. Athlete 15 minutes into practice, getting numb all the time. They went to see the trainer. The trainer wasn't familiar with rowing. They did an assessment to the low back for this athlete and was like, your back's all locked up. You shouldn't be rowing. So the recommendation to the coach was to stop the rowing. And I said, I'm like, okay, if you take a look at every rower's back, you're going to probably think, yeah, your back's all locked up. And that and she probably did need that in addition. So that's good that she started working on that. But then I was like, what's the boat setup? Can you take a look at the seat in this boat? Because sometimes the seats, because of the holes in the seat, they can be, depending on whether it's a male seat or a female seat. If you get a female seat in there, it might be that the holes are too wide and you're still getting a nerve compression every time you pivot over. And then if the seat is canted up a little bit, so even just like the front rim of the seat is a little bit high, then that can cause compression. It might not be user error. It might be equipment error. So for that particular athlete, I was like, try changing out the seat. If there's another seat that the coach can put in that boat, or there's another boat you can use that has different seats, can you try that out? And that did the trick. It was like radio science. I didn't hear anything from this parent. And so I was starting to get worried. So I sent out a text like a couple weeks later. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, oh, she's fine. They changed the boat. She doesn't get numb. I'm like, it was somebody that they were going to take out for the rest of the season. And so like, that's like where I fit in. Sometimes it is a PT issue. This person probably did need work on their low back, and their back was probably very tight. And they was predisposed to the idea of being in a seat that could cause that compression. But if you get the right seat, then you're not sitting on your nerves the whole time, and then your legs don't go numb after 15 minutes of rowing.
Yeah. Cool. That's so fascinating.
Yeah.
All those pieces that come together, again, going back to that question about being a parent, just seeing it from such a different perspective versus being in it and just wanting to be doing the actual activity. It's really helped me learn so much and just be so curious about all of these different components that are just, the tiniest shift can make such a difference. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
So Molly, I have a question for you because I see where you might be talking about this already, but so can you tell us a little bit about where you ended up in your career, and maybe if you have thoughts on how rowing maybe has affected that, or has, I don't know, got you to where you are in certain ways, if you could talk about that.
That's interesting. So I'm a psychologist. When I finished undergrad at UB, I went straight into a PhD program at UB. So I stayed there the whole time. And I'm in private practice now and have been for a long time. I don't know. I think I'm on year 16 of private practice. In terms of how rowing has impacted my career, I think in general, an observation I feel is fair to make is that rowers typically are pretty driven people, and also in school, it was something whether it was, say, in college, we had to keep certain grades and everything, and there was that support piece of the team. You didn't want to let your boat down. I think that in grad school, when it was just, I was one of 7 in a cohort, it was a little bit more independent, but still the driven piece. Rowing was, when I look back on it, I think of it as a really meditative and healing and safe place to be. I think that helps give perspective on things that I lean into now for clearing my head or taking care so that I can show up in my work. Unfortunately, that's not rowing at this time. I end up working with many people who are athletes, whether it's professional level or recreational. So I think having had experience in different realms gives me not only perspective, but if people find out that I have this history, it gives them a little bit more buy-in to trying to follow any sort of work that we're doing together. Yeah. No, I have to think about that. I feel like rowing was such a huge piece of my identity for so long. And then when I didn't have it anymore, I was trying to find something else. And I don't know, that's a constantly evolving process for me. Who am I and what am I doing in my life? What's my purpose right now?
You could help me with background degree.
Yeah.
Yep.
We talk a lot about rowing in terms of life lessons and just the enjoyment of rowing too, not just the competitiveness, but just embracing it for what it is and being its own unique thing. And the thing that's bigger than yourself that you're a part of.
Yeah, it's so special.
And do you work with a special population? I'm sorry. Yeah, do you have special populations that you work with?
So it's shifted a little bit over time. I initially, because my dissertation was on eating disorders and yoga and mindfulness, I was one of the few people in the area who was a specialist and open to working with people with eating disorders. So that consumed a lot of my practice for a long time, but I started to notice some burnout with it. It was pretty intense. And I think I also happenstance, one of my mentors had pulled me onto this women's clinic meeting with our team with one of the hospitals. And so I ended up doing a lot of training and some extra certifications with perinatal health. So women in pregnancy and postpartum. And that was before I was pregnant myself, but it's something that I continued to work with. And so that I leaned into that a little bit when I started to feel a bit of burnout. And then, so I work with all ages, except as my kids have gotten older, I won't work with anyone under 18 right now.
Okay.
Buffalo is way too small, and there's enough overlap when it comes to like that. There's a lot of overlap. And so when I'm working with an adult, say like somebody who's connected as a parent or family member of a kid who may have crossed my path, that's one thing, because as adults, I feel like we can navigate that. But I've been really considerate about not wanting that to influence my kids' lives. So at this point, I really primarily work with adults. Also, my schedule is during the school days, so I don't like to pull kids out of school. So eating disorders were a prime piece. Now they're just more like in the general list. I work with a lot of women's issues, although I would say that about 45% of my caseload is male or identify as male. Anxiety, grief, those are big pieces. I do a lot with perimenopause and menopause for women. So I see a lot of different things. Again, I do end up with some I want to say that there's almost always been a referral from, we have major sports teams here. So connecting with various supports within that realm with athletic supports, although both the Bills and Sabres now have psychologists on staff, which is super great. I'm excited about that.
And is that recent?
Over the past few years. Yeah. The NFL is actually working, they're trying to bring access to mental health support for players and families. And so that's a big initiative within the NFL. And it rolls into some of the other sports that may be owned by the same owner, trying to integrate that in to keep their players and families happy and well.
That's great, but it almost sounds like it should have been happening a long time ago if it hasn't. But I guess it's good, better late than never, right?
Yeah. If you think about it, gosh, I'm married to somebody who really loves sports, so it is given me a lot of exposure. But otherwise, even though I'm a Buffalo person, I'm more a bandwagon fan. But Josh Allen's whole tearful thing after they didn't win the thing, probably no playoff thing, like that was received so much differently than just a few years ago when Tom Brady had a very similar tearful response to losing some. And so they're like culturally, we just have a lot of stigma around emotion and managing stress. But then there are more and more players who are coming out. I think actually I walked in the room when there was a basketball game on last night. They were referring to somebody who had, I need to fact check this because I feel like I'm going to say this. It sounded like they were saying that one of the players was like taking a leave for a couple of games to take care of their mental health. And they were like commending this person for acknowledging the need for that. But I think that sports overall, when we look at some of the Olympic athletes and the documentaries that they've put out about just the stress and the strain that they're under. So so much pressure. And then the family members, a lot of times I end up seeing family members because they're moving far away from where their home base is. They're pretty isolated. They don't necessarily see their partner a whole lot.
Yeah.
So there's so many different pieces to take into consideration on top of, it's like everyday life. How often do any of us take the time to just be like, hey, I need a minute. How do I take care of myself right now? Yeah. You're both working people. You can appreciate that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, definitely.
No. And females in particular, oftentimes, are the ones taking care of so many things that we put ourselves at the last on the last to-do list. And that's some of the front-facing things like, oh, go get a massage doesn't exactly always do the trick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whereas going out on the water or chatting with your friend on a podcast,
Yeah.
super cool way to create that connection
Sure.
and support. So cool. How long have you guys been doing this?
So what was it? 59, episode 59 just got released.
Yeah. So
I don't know in terms of years how long. We definitely have been doing it longer than a year.
longer than a year. Did we start I think we started fall of 24.
Wow.
Sounds right.
Is that
What inspired it? It's so cool.
we were in the car because I had gotten this boat, the double that I row in.
Oh, yeah.
It's from CRI, and I had gone to a clinic there, and Dave Casano, who's also a UB grad, he was there and he brought his trailer. I'm like, Dave, why'd you bring your trailer? And he's like, oh, I'm getting some boats from CRI. I'm like, oh, how much does that cost? Is nothing. They're giving to me for free. So CRI does this thing where they lease their boats. So all their boats are like Hudsons, I think, all Hudsons. And so it's kind of like a lease deal. But when they started that lease deal a couple of years ago, they got rid of everything else in the boathouse that wasn't a Hudson because they just need the rack space. So when he got all these boats, I was jokingly asking the guy who was helping him put the boats on the trailer, hey, you got a boat for me? And he's, yeah, it's in the drainage ditch. You can have it when the snow goes. So it's mid-April. The guy texts me, the snow's gone. He's like, you want to take this double, come and get it. Otherwise, we're going to sawzall it and put it in the garbage can. I'm like, oh, don't do that. I will be there. So I call up Kate and I was like, and Kate and I hadn't talked in a long time, right?
Yeah.
It's been years since we connected. But Kate lives in Albany. She's on the way. And I was like, can you help me out? I don't have anybody from Rochester who I could bring with me who would know anything about moving a boat, putting a boat on top of a car, strapping it down. Kate's my woman. So I go to Albany, pick her up. We get in the car and we're chatting and we're like, you know what? We should have a podcast. And I don't know how long did it take between bringing the boat home and us actually starting the podcast? It was a good.
Yeah, it wasn't immediate. Yeah, took a little while.
It took a little while. I think it was maybe 6 months or a year. It was a little bit of time before we did it. And then we got on a Zoom meeting and started talking about rowing. And at the time, fall of 24, would Hannah have just started? Or would she have been a year?
She had been, it was her second fall. So she started in fall of 23 as a sophomore.
Yeah, Kate had just turned into a rowing parent. And so there was a lot to talk about on that end and just catching up and telling old stories and talking about like Kelly Patke and the chicken truck and like all kinds of random stuff. We had Dave come on. We had Matt Logue come on.
Caitlin Logue.
Logue came on.
So I tried to study a little and I caught a couple episodes of guests that I would so I watched those too.
Caitlin must have been around your grade, right?
Yep. So she's a year younger than me.
Okay.
Or maybe 2. No, I don't know. Maybe it's 2 years. She must be 2 because Matt's my age. Nope. Matt's a year younger. So she must be 2 years.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yep.
There's a lot of people from our time that are still either rowing involved, rowing adjacent. Like Caitlin has the alumni team on Regatta Central. So anybody out there who's a UB alum and wants to do an alumni boat, there is an alumni team on Regatta Central. So if you want to put together an alumni boat, either reach out to me or Kate or Caitlin. We can hook you up with that. And if you want to grab a couple people and row under the UB alumni umbrella, that is a actual sanctioned team. Core. So I'm hoping that maybe we can do something in the fall. I know Caitlin tries to put together Head of the Charles, and Kate did it. Was that last year?
Yeah, it was this past fall.
That's a great one to do. And then we did Pull the Plug in Rochester. That's in Pittsford. And I think it's 4,200 meters. So it's not a full 5K, but it's long enough that you're like, why am I doing this? You question your races, especially as an alumni boat, because people may have trained, not trained. You're getting out there and you're rowing for quite a bit but it's fun. We did an 8. So it goes way quicker than trying to do a smaller boat doing that. But yeah, just trying to get people back out on the water and putting the blades in the water. And we've been successful doing that a couple of times, but yeah. It's been good. It's been good stuff. But maybe would you want to get back out in the boat at one point? I know you're busy right now, but
My kids are getting older, so it's
Mhm.
not as busy. It's busy in different ways. There's a lot of sitting in the car. I would love to. I think it must have been after, yeah, I think it was after we met, Emma and I met with you for that consult. I was like, "Ugh, I just wonder if I could ergo, because my back, I had surgery in 2018. And so I'm not allowed to run anymore. I'm not like most things are off limits. And I'm like, I'm just going to try. So I researched a little bit how to shift the stroke on the erg. And I've been doing a little bit and managing it okay. And I'm like, because I see the water and I miss that for sure. I'm not sure that I would be appropriate for a race. Not particularly strong in that way. I'm so curious about like the smaller boats. I'm like, oh, I wonder what that would be like. Although I feel like I have a real bias towards sweep rowing. I don't know. There's just even listening to the boats yesterday, one of the boats went by and it had that sound, the click.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh gosh, I have that in my sleep sometimes. Just a really good dream, right? And you don't hear that when the little boats go by. Yeah. But maybe I'd be curious. I'd definitely be a great cheerleader for you guys. That'd be
Yeah, I'm resigned to the fact that I'm not really into like training or racing for now. Like you said, we're a different kind of busy, and right now it's I am on the board, so it's been a lot of work with the board, and my free time has just been taken up by that. But we're rebuilding. We've gone through some coaching changes, so that's required a lot of support for the coaching and finding coaches, and so it's been good work to heavy lift, but it's been good getting out there. We have a single at our boathouse. That's the family single. So if I can get out there, I just like to go out and go for a quick paddle. I hear what you're saying though. And it's funny because Hannah, my daughter, really misses being as part of bigger boats. Because like I said, she's only basically rowed the double and the pair this season. And I think she's just feeling like she loves the person she's rowed with. They row really well together and they're friends and everything. But it's different when you're part of a bigger team. And she's looking forward to that next year. She's like, I can't wait to row eights. And she's maybe been in an eight a few times this season for early practice when it's the water's not safe to be out there in the small boats. So they just put a bunch of kids together to get out. But it's not the same as when you're like training and racing in a eight that's the same every time. It is really special. But small boats can be special too. It's really peaceful if you're just going out for a row. It's its own thing too.
peaceful. Westside did a regatta in the fall. They did a head race at the court where we used to row. I think it was the first time I had been down there. Maybe not since I rowed there, because I think there had been a regatta that I'd gone and cheered on or something. But my daughter left that race and she's, oh my gosh, it is so beautiful here. I wish I could row here all the time. I was like, yeah, just really pretty. But I'm not driving out that far every day, because Westside actually is doing it. They have they call that their North Campus, and they're doing summer camps there this year.
Now, where is that?
Where we used to row for EB.
Walnut Creek.
Oh,
Okay,
at
thanks.
Veterans Park,
Yeah.
that area? Okay.
It's also, so my memory of that park was it just being the tin can boathouse.
Yeah.
There was like a whole sort of pavilion thing with bathrooms and everything. I don't remember that being there. Was that there?
I do remember bathrooms.
I remember a small building. Is it a bigger building now, or?
I don't think it was huge, but I just don't remember any sort of facilities being there. There were it's built out a little bit. There were two really neat built out, like lookouts in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to look on the water. I don't know, it was pretty. But I guess we were there at 5 a.m, so and it was still.
Yeah, the bathrooms might have been closed or locked.
That's what I think.
If they're like a
Yeah.
bathroom or Really a beautiful area. You know what I mean? I remember when we were rowing and the steam would be coming off the water.
So pretty.
Just like these really beautiful little vistas. And there's not a lot of boat traffic out there too. So it's just you and the Orlocks and just the morning. I remember people sitting out on their porches. I'm stuff and drinking their coffee and waving at us, that kind of stuff. And it was very different than being at Westside. Like Westside, but Westside has its own special feel you. Yeah. Just the vastness of the Peace Bridge, it being so high above you, it's different than sitting on this little creek, like this narrow creek where the Black Rock could be a little bit meaner, especially with the weather and the wind off the river. It definitely had its pluses and minuses, but yeah, every time I go to Westside, I always feel like it's like rowing home. That's where I learned. I learned to row it at Westside. So being there, especially even being like in the tank room, they'll go to the room and
It's different now.
They totally changed it.
Oh, I'll have to see it.
Yeah, I remember there used to be like, did they have, I don't know if the platform in the front of the room used to go all the way across. I remember just sitting there and waiting my turn to get in the tank. And you would sit up in the front or in the back. They used to have that wooden pull thing where you could do the bench pulls. That kind of thing I remember. But they totally refurbished it, right? They've done
the whole even, because the parking lot is paved. It's not gravel anymore. The Fontana Boathouse is there. And which makes so much more sense traffic wise for races. You're not trying to get everybody in and out of those, just the main, what is it? The Fontana, whatever they call it, boathouse, those two docks. But yeah, it's because they have the erg room, which wasn't there when I was I don't think it was there when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Along the side, is it?
On the side, yeah.
It's along the side, yeah. And then next to that is all fenced in now, and there's stuff.
Right over there now, right? Where they keep all the launches and stuff.
Yeah, I drive there and I'm dropping kids off, and I'm like, wow, there's just boats everywhere. There's trailers everywhere because so many different teams. Although I think I ran into the St. Joe's coach the other day, and he said that they've been rowing out of Welland, and they're like putting docks in and have a boathouse right near Riverworks, so it's near BSRA. So maybe, I don't know. I guess things are, I'm assuming, just really crowded. There are a lot of people rowing down there.
Yeah, Westside's always been like the hub, and then people break off little branches and do their own thing and go to different places. And BSRA is beautiful boathouse over there.
That one is really pretty. Yeah, I rowed there for a season or two, and that boathouse is so pretty. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they did a really nice job when they put that one together, and just really thoughtful. They have that repair bay, which is its own dedicated space, and they can do everything. They can paint oars inside. They can paint boats. It is a full-on repair shop in there. And then the way that they're like the overlook, and you can look out and see the river, and yeah, it's a pretty neat space. I've never rowed out of there. The one time that I was gonna do, I forget what they call their fall race. I don't know what it's called.
That one, the Bennett?
That's not the Bennett. Like BSRA used to do, I want to call it like Heaven Buffalo or something. I don't know. It was something.
Head of the Niagara was one.
And we got there, and it was like Whitecaps. It was like everybody got there and was like waiting in the parking lot, and they're like, we are not going to run this race. So I've never actually rowed out of that boathouse. I've been there a bunch of times because they used to have the Shamrock row ergata thing there. I've been there a bunch, but I've never actually physically rowed out of there because the one time that I was actually going to row, the weather was crappy. But it looks like a beautiful spot. And then the Cheerio factory, you can smell the Cheerio there. And yeah, it's cool. There's a lot of really great things about rowing in Buffalo. And like I said, every time I pull into Westside, I'm I remember like not knowing what to expect, and like standing in the bays and not knowing what to do. And that's when I think of Westside, that's what I think of, is kind of you at it and not knowing where all this would lead up to or take you to.
Could you imagine it becoming such like a life experience?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I would have never my story is like, I only went to the rowing meeting because my friend from Rochester's roommate, they lived on South Campus. This is like the first week of school. I lived on North Campus. She lived on South Campus. The only reason she was coming to North Campus was for the crew meeting. And I went to the meeting to see my friend. My friend's roommate wanted to sign up for crew. And I was just being nice by putting my name on the clipboard. And then I think Kristen Logan, called me because I must have put my phone room, you had to put your phone number down. You weren't putting your email down. So I must have put my phone number down. And I got a call hey, we're going to pick you up tomorrow at 5:30. And then I was kind of like, how do I get out of this? I'm like, what did I sign myself up for? And how do I get out of this? Now I got to wake up at 5:30. And then after that, I went to the boathouse and I was kind of hooked. You went down there and you were part of something. And even though you were waking up, and my husband lived in the same dorm as me. You guys wake up in the middle of the night. You guys are going to go do something while we're going to bed. They would literally be like finishing up a card game and like, we're going to sleep. And they say, have a good practice, Aiden. It was just very interesting, like how you get wrapped up in this. And like even now, like coaching, because I coached a college team in the spring, and I'm like, how do they get up this early in the morning? Like, where do they get this motivation? Like, where did I get that motivation to just, I don't even know where that comes from. Like, it's hard to do because you really have to organize your life. You have to, like, even like I was remembering this spring, like 8 o'clock at night, like being very purposeful. You have to decide what's going to happen the next day. What do you need to pack? I had to prep my lunch and my breakfast and pack up all the things that I needed to go to the clinic during the day and the clothes I was going to wear and how was I going to get clean that day. If I didn't shower before I went to coach and I was going to exercise after, like, where was the showering going to happen? Like all of those things, like we did that like for 4 years in a row. I have to think about the pull to do it, like the pull to be with each other, to be with you guys was like that strong. The sense of community was that strong that it didn't matter that you're waking up at 4:45 to be at the boathouse at 5:30. You were going to do it because you wanted to be out there with your friends. It couldn't have been about the competition. I don't remember maybe it was, but I don't remember that being
like there aren't that many competitions. Like it is definitely more it's like a little social component. And I remember because you were captain, I think, when I was a freshman. Would that make sense?
I didn't, because 99 would have been my junior year, and then 2000 or 99 to 2000 would be my senior year.
Yeah. So I remember there was the Linda Yalem run, and there was no way I was not a runner at that point. And I remember the older girls, you guys being like, oh yeah, everybody needs to show up. This is part of practice. And me being like, oh my gosh, okay.
I was not a runner either, Molly. I get it.
I'm like, I want to do this. I have to do this for them. I think of Katie. I remember you, whatever that training room was that we had to do indoor workouts, like with the men's basketball team or something would be there. I feel like we'd overlap with them or something, and being like thinking to myself, gosh, I don't want to let anybody down. You have to get better so that you're doing it for everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really powerful in that way. It's really hard to be a superstar in this, especially on a team. You're going to train and do your own thing. And after you graduate college, you can kind of make a name for yourself. But if you're on a team, it's all about the boats. And a lot of the colleges are structured, like how they get their points. It's based on not just who wins the 1V, but like all the way down. There's a different point system. Every boat matters. And so it doesn't matter if you're part of the 3V or 2V. You gotta perform. You gotta be there for your team. Yeah.
My daughter's thinking about rowing this summer, or she's planning to row this summer, and practices are in the morning. And our conversation with her is, we totally support you. And that also means you really need to navigate your time and your social time. This means that you can't pull off a practice because you want to sleep over at a friend's house. It's not like she's driving yet, so she's not getting herself to practice. We will be taking her, and we're not going to pick her up at 5 a.m. at a friend's house. I don't think. I say this now.
How far are you from the Westside boathouse? Wherever they'll be rowing. I assume it's
Westside. It's out of Westside.
Okay.
It's 10 minutes without traffic.
Oh, okay.
I'm just in North Buffalo, so I'm not far. And most of her friends are here, Elmwood Village, so it's not far. It's more just you can't be social during the week. You have to be home. Yeah. You can be social, but you need to go to bed.
Bedtimes are tough. Yeah.
But for college is wild to think about. I work with so many college students, and they are just burning their candle at every end, and I'm trying to have them consider how to look at balance and how they feel, like the mindful awareness of how does it feel when you don't sleep for 6 days and now you have strep throat for the third time this semester.
No.
Yeah, it's wild. I think because we also had to support each other in that way too. You had to eat. You oh yeah, you go to practice, then you have to go get a meal. You better eat before class. We all had many of us had early classes because we had a second practice in the day, and it provided so much for me, a really good structure. I think that I'm not sure how I would have mapped out my time without that.
No.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was one that could sleep in. So if I didn't have to get up,
Yeah.
sure, I would have tried to get as many 10 a.m.s, and then I probably would not have been very good with managing my days. So yeah.
I always felt like we did more before 6 a.m. than
Mhm.
most would do all day. We'd get the practice, and then you'd have to especially I remember when PT school, because Nicole and I were in PT OT school at the same time. A lot of those, the only option was the 8 a.m. class, because that was like the only time that class was offered. And I remember sitting in the back of the class being like, just because sometimes you get wet at practice, just a little bit wet, like something's wet on you. You're sitting there, you're eating Cheerios. In the back of the class, you had to sneak in just when class was starting because you're coming from the boathouse. And then you got class all day, and sometimes you have to be presentable. I really feel like there's that ability to focus your schedule that sports allows you to do. And I had a long conversation with a coach that I was working with at U of R, and just the idea that at the D3 level, you're really trying to promote not only the growth of their intellect, but their physical growth at the same time. And we were really trying to be thoughtful about how we're getting them to work out in a way that's pushing their fitness forward. We want them to learn about their fitness and to develop very good fitness habits along with their intellectual habits, and how that creates a nice, well-rounded person, and how important athletics can be in that sense at the college level. It shouldn't be something that, and especially someone who's done athletic things in high school, something that they shouldn't shy away from, like being a part of a D3 team. And the ability to be able to offer that, and letting athletes know that it's not about this crazy rigorous, it's going to be rigorous because it's rowing, but that it's about their physical growth and being able to, because not for nothing, they're maximizing their muscle uptake at that time of their life, which is extremely important because you set the muscular shape for your body during your 20s. And so
There was bone density for females.
Exactly. You're not only helping that, but you're helping frame the rest of their life. And the responsibility of a coach at that time is pretty great. You have the professors who are helping with the intellectual growth, but we're helping their physical growth and being able to teaching them how to lift appropriately, teaching them periodization, teaching them how to put together 4 weeks worth of working out and what that means. And you should always try to have that taper weekend because you need the recovery. You need your body to have that time to bounce back. And how are you predisposed to being someone who puts on a lot of muscle? And can you get really strong? Or are you somebody who has to work a little bit harder at it? Developing that kind of growth from a physical standpoint I just think is an awesome thing about college sports. And I think we lose that a lot. We think, we want these kids to go D1 and we want them to be a super competitive athletes. And there's nothing wrong with D1. D1 is definitely out there for the athletes who want to do it and who want to participate in it. But I think the D3 level the goal of D3 should really be to marry the intellect and the athleticism and the physical development. And I think that's where that can really shine. And we're really trying to be thoughtful about that now.
I have so much gratitude just for the NCAA kind of umbrella that offered so many different supports. It was D1 at that point, but I see so many college-age athletes who participate in, say, a club sport, and the support pieces aren't there, some of those structure points. So it's much more peer run, which is amazing, but takes a pretty mature kid to be able to do that versus I think being told, okay, you need to be at these practices this is what's happening. I think maybe we had some of this, but I know that I have a sense that it's a lot more present now, helping student athletes learn more about physical growth. The nutrition counseling is really present to look at how do I fuel myself to really combat some of the outside noise of social media type nutrition stuff. I think that those resources are so amazing that NCAA offers at developing kids. And then that there's that social emotional piece that comes from being part of a team. Just, it's so powerful. It's a really neat thing to kids have the opportunity to experience. And then it launches them for a lifetime of being able to take care of yourself with some of the structure and information.
Yeah. I want to be conscious of our time just because I know we all have, I'm sure, Molly, you've got a full day ahead of you. And I would just love talking to both of you all day long, but we should do this again.
Yes,
This was
it's
fun.
great.
Yeah.
Very cool that you're doing all this board volunteer stuff. That is adult drama that I don't think I would sign up for. So grateful to those people like you who do, because without it, there wouldn't be the organization. And so thank you.
Molly, I feel like I was in your shoes a couple of years ago and I was very reluctant to get involved, and here I am.
You're a better person for it.
Right.
I'm not sure that I'm cut out for that.
And it's important to note that you do not need to have rowing experience or coaching experience to be part of a board. And that's what I say a lot, because even though I have parents that come and say, I couldn't do that. I don't know anything about rowing. You don't need to know anything about rowing to be part of a board. You just need to want your kid to have a good experience and to support the people who are helping them create a good experience.
Yeah. And sometimes that outside perspective is so valuable, because they think that, when we're tunnel vision, maybe because of other experiences we've had individually, we don't catch.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I'm so
Thank you for your
great
time
to
today, Molly.
see you guys as flourishing grown-ups. It's really cool.
You too. I'll have to connect Hannah with you, though, because she wants to do what you're doing someday. At least that's her plan at this point.
Yeah. So I talk to people all the time about the pros and cons.
Sure.
An amazing job, just not one that is going to get you a couple beach houses or anything. Which is my daughter's, why did you choose this profession? Thank you. It makes me happy.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you talking with us. And is there a way for people to get in contact with you if they wanted to explore your services or learn more about you? Is there...
So I have a professional website. It's Beck-Joslyn.com. So BeckJoslyn. And it has it's my professional website. It talks about the services that I offer and has all my contact information on there.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. I feel like Henley is a good place to sell rowing on people because it's so beautiful there.
Definitely. Yeah. It's cool.
So maybe we'll see you. I'll have to keep an eye out for your boats.
Yeah, I'm hoping. We don't know what's happening this summer either yet, so we'll see.
Okay.
But that would be fun.
Yeah. Enjoy your day, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for listening to the episode. We have partnered with the Crew Stop. Do you need new rowing gloves? Save 15% with the code ROWING on the Square when you purchase gloves or apparel from crewstop.com. More details in the show notes. If you'd like to talk to Adrienne regarding your rowing needs, check out the show notes also for her call links and her website, rowingonthesquare.com, for details. Help grow the pod and follow us on the Instagram at rowingfriendspod. Happy rowing, everyone!